What are you making?
I'm mixing up a stew to give corporate a different view. Have a taste. Welcome to the Corporate Kitchen. I'm your host, Tiger, and today on the menu is Company Portfolio. Before we get started, I do want to say month one is in the books. We did it. We did a full month worth of episodes. We're in March of 2025, new month, 4 new topics, same hosts, same purpose. But it does feel good. So we talked about personal health last week. I want to give myself a little pat on the back because this is nice. We've gotten through the hump. We've gotten started. Now we can get into the thick of it. Again, this week's topic is company portfolio. This is a topic that I see everyone kind of struggle with. This is not just new to lower tenured people, early career professionals. I see people with a lot of tenure that ignore this. It sounds fundamental. It seems like something that should be a no-brainer, but you would be genuinely surprised of people that don't know the portfolio of the company that they work with. So, as we do with all topics, let's get in the kitchen and dive in. We'll start off with the Merriam-Webster definition. 2 words. So let's start with company. Company should be straightforward. But since we already started this trend, let's see what Merriam-Webster has to say. So company as a noun means 3 things. 1, association with another, companions, associates, visitors, guests. 2, a group of persons or things, a body of soldiers, an organization of performing artists, the officers and crew of a ship, a fighting unit. 3, a chartered commercial organization or medieval trade guild, an association of persons for carrying on a commercial or industrial enterprise, those members of a partnership firm whose names do not appear in the firm name. For portfolio, it has 5 definitions. 1, a hinged cover or flexible case for carrying loose papers, pictures, or pamphlets. 2, the office and functions of a minister of state or member of a cabinet. 3, the securities held by an investor, the commercial paper held by a financial house. 4, a set of pictures usually bound in book form or loose in a folder. 5, a selection of a student's work compiled over a period of time and used for assessing performance or progress. Oof. Okay. I have to admit here, I'm mixing ingredients here and hoping that it tastes good because you can instantly Google company portfolio and get the straightforward answer here. But if we take what we got from the Merriam-Webster, yeah, I'll make it work, right? The focus spices we're going to use here are for number 3 of company and number 3 of portfolio. Putting those together, it's an association of persons for carrying on a commercial or industrial enterprise, the securities held by an investor. If we look at that definition, which obviously said together seems like 2 separate ideas, the takeaway that I really want you to focus on is the second one, the securities held by an investor. As a shareholder, you are an investor. Rather, it doesn't matter if you're private sector or public sector. Those companies, those employees that work in the private sector, I'm a little jealous of you guys because you get a lot of stock options with the companies. You tend to be a little bit more vested in the company that you're working in than those in the public sector because there's just more options. If you think about your 401k, there are many options of how to invest that. Some people invest it with their company stock, others may not. On the private sector, part of your annual compensation includes a lot of company stock options. You are fully vested into that company. Your retirement is leveraged against the performance of the company's value. So, with that being said, how do you not know what the company is made of? The first takeaway here is you are a shareholder. You are a shareholder. You want to know what your shares are comprised of, how the company is investing its money in order to bring you more value. It seems that people forget that they're a shareholder until it's time to do retirement planning. When you're working on a company and you're hearing it from your boss, you're hearing it from other people, and you're in the thick of your work, it is a little bit distracting, and you can get to the point where you're missing the bigger picture of, I'm putting into the company and coming out is my paycheck. But that's not it. Also coming out that you forget is your retirement planning. All the stock that you're consuming, the 401k plan, the stock options, the RSUs, all these benefits that create a sum of money contingent on the performance of the company. You know, if you perform as an individual, that means a lot of different things for your compensation. The company performing as a company means a different set of things. And there's a lot more influence given to how the company performs than it is as you as an individual. If you leave a company, you can still maintain your view as a shareholder. Even if you don't work at a company, you can be a shareholder to the company. But let's stick with the example that you are working for the company. You are a shareholder. Part of it is knowing and understanding how the company is performing. There will be a later episode about finances, so we're not going to dive into that. That's not the point. The point here is, and what I want to drive more into as you as a shareholder, is understanding the economic influences that will positively or negatively influence your company. If we want to think about this in the kitchen, it's really your pantry. Your pantry is a collection of a lot of different spices, a lot of different flavors that you can use at any point in time. If you are blinded to what you're customarily doing and in a routine, classic example, you're making ramen noodles. The easiest way to make ramen noodles, salt. Whether you're using the packet that it comes with, you're going to add some adobo, Lowry's, seasoned salt, whatever. Salt tends to be the base ingredient of what's added to noodles. You might get a little fancy and add some chili powder, some paprika, some soy sauce, some mirin, some hoisin, doesn't matter. But if you only focus on the same things every single time, you miss out on everything else that you have in that pantry. And I'm talking to everyone. Don't even listen to this podcast and say, oh, well, I live alone and I only have, the 3 seasonings that I use. No. You only see the 3 seasonings that you use all the time. There is some other stuff lurking back there that either your parents made for you, that a previous ex did for you, something in there that adds additional flavor and adds to the palette of spices that are in your pantry. And it's not even just limited to spices. The old joke of men not being able to find stuff in the refrigerator also applies to the pantry. You look in and it's like, oh, I don't think I have this. You buy it. You come back home and you look, you're like, oh my God, I did have spaghetti sauce the whole time. When you have a portfolio, it's like having your pantry and looking at it and saying, I have a collection of flavors that are applicable to cook a variety of dishes. What dishes can I cook with what I have available right now? And if I want to prepare a dish and I believe I don't have those spices, what do I need to acquire? Take that same logic to a company's portfolio. Can you, with the items that you have now, make spaghetti? If you can make spaghetti, you should be able to make lasagna. Follow me here, right? It should be around the same spices that you have there. If you can make those two, you should be able to make tacos. Pulling further away would be, do we have everything that we need to make Alfredo? Maybe not. Do you have everything that you need to make a pot roast in that same pantry? Probably so. Now you have a collection. We said spaghetti, we said pot roast, we said lasagna, we said tacos. We have a full portfolio of items that we can now prepare based off of understanding what we have in our collection. You want to take that same logic and make sure you do understand where your company is and how it's comprised, especially as you as a shareholder. What can it do? What can it not do? And the reason that I brought up the Alfredo example, is to talk about the economic factors that can affect and influence your company. If we're bringing Alfredo into our kitchen that we just said was capable of doing all those other recipes, we're going to be in a little trouble because we need some stuff. We're going to need some stuff to add to this pantry in order to be able to make Alfredo. That's external to our pantry, an external factor that's being driven in. If you're a shareholder, understand what those external factors are that will flip the tide of the performance of the company. And it's not a reflection of whether or not you guys hit deliveries or whether or not you reach the internal goals. It's what you're affected by. Tariffs are really coming about this year. Do you even know if your company's affected by tariffs? Will prices going up affect your company's ability to do their job efficiently? Would the decrease in the spending budget for the United States government affect your company? Or is your company heavily in defense? Would the decline in rare earth minerals affect your ability to work on some of the stuff that you do in the private sector? Understanding your company's makeups and the external factors that really affect it should make you a better shareholder, because now you know I perform as an individual, therefore I get compensated and the company compensates me. But now the company is performing and it's affected by all these other things that aren't my fault or anyone in the room's fault. Keep that in your mind. Understand. It's almost like the conversation of what makes you tick. If it makes you tick, it's something fully external, and knowing that will help you manage it. Knowing that also, and this is the really important part, also help you navigate the business cycles. When business is booming, it won't boom forever. There will be a time where it drops off. There's plenty of signals of when that's going to happen. You can get ahead of it. What's going into the second takeaway, and the last point I want to drive on the shareholder portion, the world has changed. We're no longer in you work this single role. It's not even a role. Back then, it was the role that you could work for your entire career, get a pension, retire, live the rest of your life. We're not there anymore. We're in something totally different. And the longevity of someone at one company is becoming rare, more and more rare, rarer and rarer. People move around companies all the time. A lot of it has to do with compensation. There are other factors that make people want to leave companies. Totally understand. A large portion has to do with compensation. Part of that compensation, too, is you being a shareholder and you getting something out of the company for the work that they perform. Again, like I mentioned earlier, you leave the company, your 401k doesn't delete, it doesn't dissolve. There's stuff that you can do with it. And frankly, you do have an option to keep it tethered to the company's performance. Therefore, no matter where you go, that could be your first company, and you're 7 companies later, there could be a portion of your retirement that's still contingent on how that first company performs. So you kind of want to know, when are they good? When are they bad? And what affects them? Don't forget, you are a shareholder. So it's not just about what we're going to get into as career opportunities next, but you are a shareholder. It's your money. Make sure the company is in a position to succeed so that you can succeed and retire. But in any case, we're talking about you as an individual, talking about you working, and on the career perspective, it is true that people don't stick around at the same company anymore. Part of the reasoning is what we mentioned earlier of pensions going away, but that's not the only reason. There are still firms that offer pensions. There are industries that exist today that still offer pensions. So that's not the only reason that this is happening. Another large reason that a lot of people don't stay is the lack of talent management in a direct ladder approach. What do I mean by that? Previously, if you're at a company, choose any function you want: operations, supply chain, program management, quality, whatever, HR. You'll start off as an associate, make your way up, make your way vertically up to a manager, senior manager, director, vice president, and whatever the C-suite officer is for that function. You used to be able to go straight vertically up. That just doesn't happen as much anymore. Part of the change in leadership mindset was also this idea of diversifying your experience in order to more well-round you as an individual and your character. You want to be the senior vice president of operations. Yes, you could be a floor manager, floor senior manager, floor director, production floor, vice president, and then senior vice president of operations. But the senior vice president of operations has all these different other disciplines that report to that role. Therefore, the thought is, let's make it more advantageous to get those outside experiences, have someone do stints in other disciplines. Oh, by the way, let's go one step beyond. So some companies do this. Let's go one step beyond and have you do a stint in a whole nother function so that you can get a better appreciation for it. This is like supply chain, who serves parts to operations, may do a stint in operations so that they can understand what their operations customer is feeling, and then come back to supply chain and continue to move up the ladder. That straight up ladder doesn't exist anymore. It is definitely, if anyone's a fan of SpongeBob, it's almost eels and escalators, right? It's not straight up there. It's a lot of zigzags. That's the best way I can describe it. Zigzag, 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 zigzag. You pivot, do a little work over there, up, pivot, work, up, pivot, work, up. So when you're in a company, you want to do that research for yourself, because the second takeaway, like we said, is there's no ladder anymore. If you want to succeed in your career, you have to understand the different pathways that lead you to there. If we want to think about our transportation system, you want to go from San Francisco to LA. There are many, many, many ways to get there. The most efficient way that everyone would say would be a direct route. Okay. Well, we're saying that the direct route ladder straight up isn't as active. Now what? Now you just open up so many doors of how you can get from San Fran to LA. Same thing with your career. Cut the direct route out. Understand how the company is made to be able to navigate your career. And if you already did part one of the first takeaway, it's almost a second layer of your career development because now you know what can affect your career and what doesn't from external factors that you don't even control. If you're in a defense company and you know that you want to be senior vice president of operations and you decide, hey, I want to do a stint in quality, the year is 2025. Quality is a huge focus right now due to all the incidents that have happened in the world. You know that quality is going to be under a microscope. There may not be many opportunities for advancement in quality because at this point, we need as many technical experts as possible to really, really, really improve the quality of the industry. So maybe you don't go that route. Or you do the opposite. You embrace it and you say, hey, I'm going to take this as an opportunity and really jump in to improve the quality. Just understand it's under a microscope. And right now, there's not opportunities for advancement. It's an opportunity to prove yourself and improve the quality of the industry. That type of knowledge helps you make more sound decisions on your career, but can only be made if you understand what you have available to you. We'll go back to the pantry. You want to cook for someone else, not just for yourself. Now you want to take it one step further and you want to cook for someone else. You want to make ribs. What seasoning goes on ribs? Do you have the rubs available in your pantry right now to make a good rib? When you watched YouTube, or if you watched, let's just say you watched YouTube to get recipes, do you even have all those ingredients in your pantry? You see how much you're limiting yourself by not understanding what's available and increasing the Rolodex that you have. You can always bring in different items into your pantry to create that larger Rolodex. When it's fixed and you're not able to do that, such as a company is, it's kind of fixed on the Rolodex that they have available, you now know the possibilities of what you can do and what you can't do. And those are just called boundaries. You know the boundaries that you're working in. If you want to make ribs and you watched a YouTube video and you don't have that rub that they used, does that mean that you can no longer make ribs? No, it just means you can't make ribs that way. Remember, for your career, there's so many different pathways you can take to reach the goals that you want to reach. There's so many different ways you can make ribs. Just because that one opportunity, that one way of doing it didn't work, doesn't mean that it's over. Plenty of other ways to do it. Many other pathways to still reach a very good tasting rib. Just like there's still plenty of pathways for you to reach your goals, for you to reach the role that you want to reach in your career. It may take some moving around. It may take some moving companies. But if you can take the time, understand how the company is built, you will be able to clear the obstacles to understand the pathway for you to get there. And that's going to bring us to our third takeaway. From the first two, what we've pretty much been talking about and what this boils down to is knowledge is power. That's what it comes down to. And we know this. Not knowledge is power. The best knowledge that you can gain from understanding your company's portfolio is not available to the public. Remember that. The best knowledge that you can gain from understanding your company's makeup is not available to the public. There are going to be benefits, there are going to be proprietary, confidential, classified levels of information that you will obtain as an employee of the organization that's not available to the public. Therefore, that becomes leverage for you. You're gaining a lot of leverage. Understanding how your company operates and the interpersonal information of that company gives you leverage as an individual to say, hey, in order to reach my goals, I know in this company, we'll call it company A, I know in company A, X, Y, and Z is required. So if I take that skill set to another company, it may not be X, Y, and Z. It may be A, B, and C. But you can leverage X, Y, and Z to throw in your pantry, add A, B, and C, do a different stint, and get D, E, and F. And now you got 9 letters out of the 26-letter alphabet. You see how that worked? By increasing your Rolodex, you just add more and more leverage that you have. Let's say you don't want to leave companies. Let's say you want to stay at the same company. The classified or proprietary information of that company is also a different type of leverage to stay within that company. If you helped work on a patent, you invented something in the company, you're working on development, new technology that either hasn't been ever produced yet or is out there but hasn't been applied in the way that your team is trying to apply it, is a different type of leverage. Where I think many people get stuck on, and we're going to talk about it on Thursday, is what's next. When you are leveraging knowledge, the question that you always have to ask yourself is what's next? If you're looking ahead, you will be able to answer a lot more questions than asking questions, right? Let me say that again to make sure I said that correctly. The knowledge you gain will help you answer a lot more questions than you ask. What's the future look like? What's next? What's the market conditions look like? What move do I need to make in order to advance my career? What is the future of this company? A great example of that is General Electric. If you think about where General Electric was 30 years ago, huge conglomerate, industrial conglomerate, comprised of many, many, many different industries, many industries. Everything seemed like it was GE. Now, although the name is slapped on a lot of companies, some of the divestors that they did, the buying company retained its name because the brand of GE is familiar to everyone. But as far as the GE that we used to know, I believe it's down to 3 companies now: aerospace, Vernova, and healthcare, if I remember correctly. They really have divided that pantry up and stuck with a 3-shelf base system. And it works. Where your knowledge helps you leverage what's next is that there were signs when that company was splitting. There were signs when they were going to divest some of those lower performing businesses. There were signs when, even after divestiture, that they acquired for some facilities. When you're doing the what's next analysis after doing 1 and 2 takeaways that we talked about here, right? You understood the company and the external factors. You understand it for your career so that you know how to navigate the functions internally. You'll be able to use all that knowledge and understand where's the business going. If you know that your company runs cyclically on performance, you'll be able to identify if you're on an up year and whether you're on a down year. If you are working in an underperforming area of the business and you know your business is merger and acquisition happy or divestiture happy, you could see the red flags before they come. The funny, not funny thing that happens all the time is when a company is announcing that they're going to divest a portion and people are just like, wow, I never saw the signs. Or the other one of, this company is going to have layoffs after having 3 straight underperforming quarters of performance. And there are people that's just like, wow, I didn't see that coming. And it's like, how did you not see that coming? It's not even a sense of understanding the performance of the company. It's just knowing the makeup of it. If you are a one product company and that one product isn't doing well, there's literally nothing else to fall back on. But if you're a 18 product company and you're a manufacturing company and one product isn't doing well, I understand why you may not be looking at the performance of the company. You have all those other products, should be okay. Understood. But if you're not aware that all those other products exist, you could be in that other underperforming unit thinking, oh my God, the world is about to end. I'm going to lose my job tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do. Totally unprepared for, hey, your company's pretty big. You have all these other products that you may be able to transition to. And hey, also, if you knew that your area wasn't doing its best, how did you prepare? If you didn't do the knowledge of the first 2, how would you ever prepared, right? A lot of people tend to want to network when they actually need it instead of doing it ahead. Well, guess what? The first networking that you can do is finding out the way that your company is organized so that you understand the makeup, the ideology of the system level, enterprise level business broken down into the smaller bits, finally to the area that you're in, and how to navigate up. How do I navigate up? So we'll wrap this up. Minute left. This is, again, a topic that everyone should invest into. You are a shareholder. Know what the company is. You want to know what they're providing and how they're adding value. How are they going to increase the stock price so that your retirement plan continues to blossom? If we take that macro mindset and bring it to a micro on your specific career, it's no longer a straight up ladder. And let's be honest, you're not going to wait 50 years to be promoted. Today's generation is barely waiting 5 years to be promoted. You want it quick. Cool. Understand how you navigate through the company and the pathways available to you in order to move up. And that all compiles into knowledge. Knowledge is power, and knowledge will keep you prepared for, right? What's the saying? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. How do you prepare for the worst? The knowledge that you gain from understanding how your company is made, what it provides, the portfolio it holds, will keep you prepared for the worst things that can happen in the future. And with that, we'll turn off this stove, take off the thinking apron, and let's just say the dishes will get done later. This topic wasn't a big mess, but if we learned something today, then we know there's a little cleaning up to do. I do want to talk this topic more, maybe trade stories about this soon, like this Thursday soon. I hope to see you there. Thanks for being in the corporate kitchen today. I'm your host, Tiger. Until next time.